Hi PCIS health students, this is Miss Cece. I hope you guys are feeling well today. As you know, we have been studying infection prevention in our health class. And interestingly, it's a very important topic at this time. Today, we are going to review some of the things we already have talked about and look a little bit closer at a few things you may have been hearing and what they mean more in depth. So let's just take a second to review some of the things we talked about last week, just generally how we keep ourselves healthy. Hand washing, as we've learned, is really one of the best ways that you can keep your body from getting infections, whether it's by touching your face or we talked about other routes of exposure when we were going over toxicology. But the first thing on the list really is washing your hands. And you guys know the proper way to do that. We looked at the chart about the frequently missed areas, and you know that you need to be scrubbing in between your fingers, under your nails, the front and back of your hands, even up and around your wrists. And I think that all of you guys have been doing a great job of that recently. And I don't know about you, but I've actually been singing a song when I wash my hands twice, but I sing my wash your hands, wash them nice and clean, scrub them here and scrub them there and scrub them in between, and then I repeat that, and I literally go through scrubbing, in between my fingers, under my nails, and somehow it gives me a better reminder of, the areas I'm focusing on while I'm washing my hands. So the other thing we touched upon a little bit last week was that we want to still remember that it's important to have good hygiene in the kitchen because for a lot of reasons, but obviously we don't want to get any food poisoning. But if your body's trying to fight off something else, it's going to be harder for your immune system to, stay strong against other types of illnesses. So I think everybody has learned really well by now what it means when we say that our body is a system. And we have also talked about this word homeostasis, right? And it all is about being in balance. All these things are about keeping your body at a healthy balance and able to really, tackle anything that comes your way because all the different parts are working together. So in health class, we're going to see the word balance a lot. And again, here it is, eat a balanced diet. And what does that mean? We talked about how, that doesn't mean go on a diet. You know how I feel about that. It means eat a variety of things. So a variety includes all the things you like to eat, but that means, all of them. You can eat the things that are sweet and, savory, like snacks. That's totally fine. Desserts. But whenever we want to really make sure we're getting lots of vitamins and minerals to help our body function, we need to focus on getting fruits and vegetables especially. And of course, a lot of you also point out meat, like protein, that helps your body heal from things. And so, and you can get protein from other things, of course, as well. And as long as you're eating a variety of things and also making sure you include fruits and vegetables in there, then that is going to cause you to have, better health outcomes. So you see here on my list that I have drink a healthy amount of water. And what is that, a healthy amount? So hopefully you guys are staying hydrated. We live in Panama where it's very humid and it's easy to get dehydrated. And they recommend about 2 liters per day, or that's about 8 8-ounce glasses. So just kind of your general drinking glass that you would have with dinner. 8 of those per day, or, at least filling up a liter-sized bottle and having 2 of those in your day. That is going to help your body stay hydrated and healthy because your whole body needs water. Your cells, everything functions with the use of water. So a couple of other points that I don't think we had time to talk about, but I know that you guys know these are, in order to keep a healthy body, it is important to stay active. I think it's the National Health Institute recommends about 30 minutes of activity several different times in the week. That's the ideal. the goal that we would want to reach. I know that right now it might be hard to go and be active or exercise maybe in the way you're used to. You can't really go running whenever we're being asked to stay in and around our homes. But that doesn't mean that we can't go and spend time outside. Depending on your situation, you might have a yard or an area where you're still unlikely to run into any people or, be mingling with crowds and everything, but that you can still enjoy the fresh air, be able to get some vitamin D from the sun, take a look around of all the beautiful things that we have here in Panama. Spending time outside is also really important for maintaining positive mental health, like we talked about a few weeks ago. It's really important, like the whole thing about our body being in a balance. We want to maintain our physical health as well as our mental health. And there are many studies that show that being able to go outside, look as far as your eyes can see, hear the birds, which you might hear right now during my video. There are a lot of very active birds outside right now. These things actually really contribute to positive mental health outcomes, and that is going to help you stay healthy everywhere. And finally, on my list here, I have written get enough sleep. So you may know this, but ideally 7 to 8 hours per night is what is recommended for your body to be able to recharge appropriately. I think that some of my students may sometimes not have the best sleep schedule. I know you guys sometimes stay up late and, play video games, or maybe just have trouble going to sleep, or maybe you're, having a hard time getting all your homework finished. So there's one positive thing about us having a much more open schedule than in the coming days. Hopefully you guys can get enough sleep and maybe even take a nap and really just help your body feel fully recharged and at your full health capacity. So that was a bit of a review of what we were talking about before. And I also had kind of drawn this little graph on the board for you. And actually that is kind of the main point of the lesson I want to go over today, which you might be hearing a lot of in the news, is this term flattening the curve, or this phrase. And I want to talk about what does that actually mean and how can we do that. So here is this diagram about flattening the curve that I showed you, and you've probably seen going around social media. The big red peak out front is kind of like what is projected to happen, or what we've actually totally seen happening in a lot of places whenever measures aren't taken early enough, and or when people don't listen to the instructions from epidemiologists and scientists to try their best to prevent the spread of this virus right now. The biggest problem with the first curve is that you see on the left side of it, like as it first starts out, that's what we call exponential growth. And actually we're seeing exponential growth in general with this. Just think about the other day when we talked about how this was, a scary thing happening in other parts of the world. And literally that same day when we went home, we found out about our first reported case in Panama. And from there, it feels like, for a while, it was like doubling every day, the amount of cases that were being reported. And that is unfortunately because it takes some time before we can actually know that someone has become ill. And also, as we know, a lot of people can be just functioning and totally feeling healthy, but actually, unfortunately, be carrying it. And the problem is that we, of course, like we've talked about, don't want them to spread it to any other people. Let's take a minute to review what I mean when I am talking about exponential growth. In your math classes, you probably have mostly looked at linear growth and linear graphing, wherever you have a normal slope like rise over run, and you graph it on your y and x axis, and you have a line that just kind of basically looks like a slanted or diagonal line. Here, I'm going to draw it here just for you in a second, like that. So the difference between that and exponential growth is that you see a much faster increase. Like first, the line almost looks like almost like a flat line, just increasing a little bit, but then very, very rapidly, it basically turns into a vertical line. Sometimes we call this a J curve, right? Because look at how it looks like the letter J. This is exponential growth. This is when things start like doubling and doubling and doubling and doubling each day, which unfortunately in the beginning of the spread of the coronavirus in each area that it starts to impact, we see this kind of growth. So when we have that kind of growth on a curve like this one on the left, the red peak that you see, that is such a rapid increase. So right now here in Panama, our government is trying really hard to help everybody understand why it's important that we stay home and that we stop going around our friends and going out in public and, just living life as normal, unfortunately. So we're kind of putting a pause on what we would normally be doing socially. We're staying home from school. And that is, like I mentioned before, and as you guys know, most of us are really not going to have any kind of health complications. Even in the event that some of us actually got this virus, we're not going to really even get that sick. Some of us might get sick like you have in the past whenever you get a cold. Other people won't even know that they were sick at all. And that's like really the crazy thing about this. And so that while that's really great for those people, especially young people like you guys, it's also kind of the tricky thing about this, which is that it can be spread without people even realizing it. As you guys learned, the biggest problem with that is that we are then accidentally putting our most vulnerable members of the population at risk. For example, anyone immunocompromised, meaning that their body's already trying to fight off things or their immune system's a little bit low, or elderly. And that's what we've seen, unfortunately, is that older people are hit the hardest with this virus. So looking back at the graph here, what we want to see is the blue curve. And that is what it means when everyone says flattening the curve. Do you see how it's more flat and it's underneath that dotted line, that horizontal line? Notice that the horizontal line says healthcare system capacity. And that's another thing that's why we're being extra careful here in Panama. We want to make sure that anybody that does need treatment can get it. And so if we can help slow down how fast this spreads, even if it may not be that deadly, we're helping ensure that the people who need it are going to have safe and correct response and good medical care to help them treat it and get healthy again. So what's the best way to achieve the blue-shaped curve? That's what our goal should be here, right? So the way that we want to tackle this and to help our population have a slower growth of this is through something you've probably heard a lot in the last few days. It's called social distancing. Social distancing. Or another way we have talked about it is self-isolating. This means that, we're not sick, we're not in quarantine, but what we're doing is making sure that we just kind of stop spreading germs by staying at home around our family members who we know are healthy and we're healthy. And we just want to kind of stay put, not go out, not move around a lot. And that is really the key to how we overcome this. I have more for you guys, but I think I'm going to do this as like a part 1, part 2 kind of thing so I don't overwhelm you. And next time I'm going to send you this simulation that will show kind of how this actually works in the population and what happens. I have like 3 different kind of cool computer simulations that I will be showing you on Wednesday's video. But for now, go ahead and do your photo project that I assigned you and try to just remember the ways to stay healthy. Listen to the instructions about staying home and don't go out unless you really, really need to. This is a time where we have to be creative and just work together to solve this, and we're all going to be healthy and fine soon because of this. So thank you guys, and remember to send me a message if you have any questions, and I'll see you soon. Bye.